Okay. Wow. Great to have you, everyone. I think it's nice. My name is Mordecai Etukudo. I am a software developer and also an advocate, a developer advocate. I have been advocating for Rust lately since I discovered Rust and I started using it. Rust has been a great language. I also have experience in teaching Rust to people in university system, grassroots Rust teaching, and learning and teaching. And then these are some of the things we might be talking about today. Some of the issues that come up, what are people facing, and why are they facing those issues. So I'll give Francesco the grants to introduce himself. And by the way, I'm also one of the co-lead of Rust Africa and also one of the people that started the brain behind Rust Africa and everything. So thank you, Francesco.
1 second, I have some technical issues. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can go on. We can hear you.
Something is a bit. Yeah, I should rejoin. Just give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I have an issue. 1 second. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, guys. I think Francesco has some technical issues, so give him some few times to check back in, and then just give us like 3 minutes, and then we'll start up very soon. Yeah, thank you, Graham, from joining from Bangladesh. How is things over there, and how you doing?
Okay, I'm sorry. I had some technical issues.
Okay.
Hi. So, hi everyone. I'm Francesco. I'm a developer advocate from Italy. I'm also spent, I think, most of my time recently to create Rust content. So, I think that we can have a very good discussion about this programming language. And I've been to the Rust Conf in Seattle when I also met the team, the people who actually worked on it. I have a dear friend which is in the Rust Foundation. He works on the infrastructure of Rust. So yes, a lot of Rust content, let's say, recently. I think I started creating Rust content back in 2022, I think, and I started learning it a bit earlier. So it has been a while. Like recently people have started to notice this for real, but when you do something if you exercise or if you go on a diet, you see the results a bit later, not the day before. So I've been creating content for Rust for about 3-4 years, but people started to noticing lately. I'll be happy to have a conversation. We can discuss about different things. I'm also writing a book. I'm reviewing this. I was reviewing this before joining the live stream, so I need to stop reviewing the Rust book to join a Rust live stream. So this is how much Rust is in my life lately. I still don't have a Rust t-shirt, so I decided to fix this soon. And what else? Thank you so much, Mart. Can I call you Mart? It's
yeah, you can call me Matt.
It's easier. And yes, so let's have a conversation. And I always like to differentiate between the jokes and the serious stuff. So if you want to have fun, a joke, you can say Python is better. We can joke about this on Twitter and social media. Then if you want to be more professional, we want to see real reasons to get hired. Is it hard for real? And so we need to decide if we want, to have fun. But I think it's fine to have a bit of fun. Tech can also be boring. So I like when people, they say that you should not, you should. I just released a video that the title is "Don't Learn Rust." The title is a bit clickbait, but I think I stimulated your curiosity, Mart. Now you want to check it out. A 2-minute video.
Yeah, definitely. I think I will actually have to check that out. I think Rust, I would like to start with a big preamble because when I started learning Rust, I think back when I started learning Rust wasn't really like, there was not a lot of content out there. You have to literally go through the traditional part of actually
There
using
was not me, maybe.
the Rust book, actually using the Rust book or other Rust written materials. But I think over time, I think Francesco, you and a lot of people have really put in a lot of work in putting in resources there, because then a lot of people can actually just go pick YouTube videos, and then that's a big kudos to you and the entire team putting in work to make sure that Rust content is very, very much available. And Francesco, I know you have your experience teaching people Rust over time. You have communities, and I have my experience from real life teaching people Rust. So I think the bridge of this experience will make more sense. The first question I want to ask you, and I want to get a reply, is one of these questions that I've been training in the Rust ecosystem, and it's something that I love to have different perspective over. And then coming from somebody who have been training people, you have experienced people from this different background and all those things. The question should be: should newbies, should beginner programmers learn Rust? That is like have been a big question in the ecosystem.
And I think this is a very important question, because once you are a senior, once you are an expert, you can watch even, so you can check the still things, but you know already what to do. So it's more like the beginners. That's what people are looking for, this thing. So I'm a bit tempted to just say just learn Rust and that's it. But I want to give a real honest answer. I think that's the best one. So I think that Rust, if you're a total beginner, might be a bit hard to learn, not because it's impossible, by the way, anything can be done, but because, for a simple reason, when usually the Rust teachers, they expect that you have some previous experience. I also do that. I have a bootcamp in November. I will probably mention we have semicolons like in JavaScript. We use the let keyword like in JavaScript. If you have never seen JavaScript in your life, you might say, what is it? What is he talking about? So usually, and I am one of them, people who teach Rust, they refer to other programming languages. So if you don't know any programming language, or if you don't ever even seen C++, when you will lose these references. So I would say that probably it's not something that I would recommend to a person who is new to programming. It's something that I would recommend to someone who already has some programming basics. Because and I think that that's the best thing to do. So if you have experience with at least a JavaScript or Python, I think that is a very powerful language that you can learn if you want to boost your career. This is my honest reaction. I would say like just learn it, but I want to give a more honest feedback, because I think that I want people to do the right things at the right time. So if you're into programming, probably getting started, with some HTML, CSS, or some Python, if you are into the data science, I think it's the best way, because there's also more material, plenty of free stuff, huge communities. There are communities growing. There are languages growing. The packages downloaded are growing. But maybe you still have, a couple of months, maybe you can give it a try. If you already have some experience in programming, I think Rust is a great bet for the future, because this is what it is. We can agree, Martin, that Rust is not that mainstream as might be JavaScript, but this is actually a good thing, because this will make you stand out. I don't know, let's say that there are two persons, but they both know React, let's say, but the company also has some services. They have to call an API which is from a Rust service, or they have some Rust in their among their services, because it's not that uncommon that you have some services refactored in Rust. A person who actually knows the language has a small advantage. That is basically what we need to stand out when we need to get hired. You need that extra thing that makes us stand out. And I think that learning Rust is this is a strong opinion, a better bet than learning 4 JavaScript frameworks. You can learn 3 JavaScript frameworks, 2 JavaScript frameworks, and Rust, because Rust is a language. It's not a framework. It's not something that is going away soon. Sadly, with JavaScript, sometimes this happens. I don't know, you dedicated so much time to a framework, and then it starts, to get used a bit less. So you feel that you wasted your time. You never waste your time if you learn, because the things that you learn, you can always reuse them. But in this AI era, we need to optimize it. We really don't have time to just do random things. Do you agree? We need to really be intentional. And I think everyone can agree that usually languages, they are here to stay. Even COBOL,
Definitely.
assembly, C, the languages are here to stay. Usually the languages, they don't stop existing. They are always there. And usually they always tend to grow. And we don't even know. For example, I'm a huge fan of Rust and web development. This is a bit unpopular, even in the Rust ecosystem, because most of the Rust developers, they see Rust for embeddings, for other stuff.
I am system programming stuff.
Exactly, but it's true, because this is why Rust has been created. But learning it in web development, I think, is basically a hack, because you already know how to create APIs. If you already know how to create APIs, you see why I say it's better to know another programming language. So then, when I say API, you're not like shocked, like you are doing what you've always done in other languages, Django, Node, Flask, whatever. And now we are doing the same thing in Rust. So if you're understanding what I'm saying, if you're here listening, you'll understand that, okay, so I know exactly what an API is, but I have to rewrite this using either Rust without frameworks or using a Rust web framework. So this is something. And so the short answer is, should be learned as a first language? Probably not, unless you really want to go in and you really fall in love with it. For sure, it can be learned. For sure, it can become your main programming language. Because first, it means the first you learn, or you mean the first that you'll use every day? Because now I use it basically every day. And yes, so the short answer is not as your first language, but it might become your main one. Yeah.
Okay, I think I also have like maybe a semi-contra opinion when it comes to stuff like this. Coming from a person, I'm not from a computer science background. I'm a self-taught learner, and also coming from a person, a self-taught who started learning programming with C++ and then later moved to C. I believe any language can be learned as a first language. This is my background. I believe any language can be learned as a first language, but then learning other language enable you learn Rust better, enable you understand why Rust is doing ownership, why Rust is doing this, enable understand the why in Rust better. But I feel Rust can be learned as a first language. I think I've literally I've created like a roadmap on where you can learn Rust as a first language and be successful with that. And I've used it on a lot of some of these students I taught, because some of them don't have any programming background, and it actually worked. So the thing is going to take you more time than somebody is coming from an already existing programming language. So should Rust be learned as first programming language? I think it's still fall down to what Francesco said. It's depend on what you want. But then is it possible? Yes, it's possible. You can do that. You can pick up Rust and learn as a first programming language. But then it's just best try something new before you come to Rust. It give you more value and everything. So Francesco, aside from first timers, and this is something else I've also noticed in the ecosystem. A lot of people pick up Rust and then tomorrow they come to the internet and start shouting that Rust is hard, Rust is difficult, Rust is this, Rust is that, and everybody doing this and everything. And now it's no longer C is hard, it's now Rust is hard. Rust is now the new hardest thing in town. What is your take on what is the issue with people learning Rust? Like people who are coming from other background coming to learn Rust, what are the things that they are doing wrong, or what are the issues that they are facing that can that, oh, if they maybe they have done it this way, they could have maybe have a more easier way to learn Rust, or a more better Rust learning experience than maybe they are doing it this way. Prior to your experience, you have this people you have taught on YouTube, and then they laid some of this complaint. And how do you see it? What method do you suggest work best?
Yes, sure. I really love this question because if you check on Twitter, if you check online, you will probably feel this sentiment. When something that you know if it's real or not, but you have this sentiment that Rust is hard to learn. I also had these comments somewhere or something like that. So I would say that Rust is not hard to learn. No? I would say it's not obvious. I think the real reason why Rust is a bit harder to learn is that it has unique features. So I think that all these comments, they come from maybe senior developer or developers who are experts or average in their career, so not junior, but still not senior. When they start seeing Rust, they see something completely new. So actually, also in the previous question, I asked, you asked, should you learn Rust as a programming language? I said, probably you should learn JavaScript or Python first. The problem is that if you have experience with another programming language, when you start learning Rust, you start to look for similarities. It's like, let's say, I want to learn a new language. I want to learn, probably for me, learning French, I'm Italian, to be easier than learning Japanese, because if I need to learn Japanese, I also need to learn, the ideograms, the alphabet is different. So when something is different, I need to do an extra step to learn something which is completely new. For example, when there is a language, you need to learn how to pronounce some specific sounds. If you don't know how to pronounce those, you are in trouble, or you pronounce them with an accent, of course. These are two options. So in Rust, it is similar. All the concepts of memory is unique, and I think is amazing. The fact that we have a language that has a unique way to handle memory. And so this is why people might find it hard, because they try to find similarities with other previous languages and they don't find them. So I say, okay, so it's hard. But you asked me what's the best way to learn this language, is to pretend that you know nothing. So you need to go very open-minded, even if you're a senior developer, because otherwise you might even get confused. So I would say you should approach Rust as a programmer, if you can, with some experience. But then when you're learning, you should pretend that you know nothing. You ever seen like how the toddler, the young, the newborn? For them, learning a language is easy. Even learning 3 languages at the same time, because they are not biased. Instead, if you try to learn a new language when you are an adult, it's hard because you already know a language so well. So you try to find some similarities. And so this is a similar concept. So when you're learning Rust, you should pretend you know nothing about memory management, and you just check how Rust is doing it. That's
I think on my case, I had a lot of like transferable skill from C background to Rust. Like, for somebody who have done malloc free memory manually by itself, and then coming to a place where you are not allowed to do that, to understand the issue they were trying to solve. And I have dealt with them double pointers and all those things. So I know the issue Ross was trying to solve, and it was transferable. But when I think the issue, some of the issue I feel is when people come from a more flexible dynamic language to Rust, like Python, or I also write Python too, like Python or JavaScript coming to Rust. Rust does not allow you to do some certain kind of stuff. You get concept like lifetimes, ownership, and it does not really want to make a lot of sense. Meanwhile, it's supposed to really make a lot of sense, and then people just get hired. One of the things I think is I've seen most advanced developers who have experience to which really help in the learning is pick up a project you have already building, already existing the projects were very built in a very existing this thing programming language, and then when you pick up the project, try to rebuild it with Rust, you'll be able to get some of those concepts back and everything. And then um, there's this popular saying by one of my Rust mentor, is the mentor of Clippy. He said, even though you are boxing everything in Rust for the first time, you are good. Clone, you are good. So over time, you'll be able to understand how to write it in a more idiomatic way and everything. So, and this started because when I was learning Rust those time, I was like, my code was not really like idiomatic as writing it now. I was maybe kind of cloning some stuff and doing job. So when you saw my code, it was like, this is good. Like we are learning, and so we get to understand and everything. So I think the best way is or one of the issues is people coming with this idea of the fact that they just want to transfer everything they know from the other language and moving. But you can just start very smooth. And I think one of the best secret to learning Rust is starting with the web. That's really I think it helped a lot because that is where I actually see a lot of clarity from starting from the web. And aside from that, one of the things I've also experienced among people is the fact that learning Rust is the fact that if you Rust is not one of those languages like you can learn React and not know JavaScript, and then maybe later on just find your way around things. You can learn Django and not really know
You
Python and
should
find
not. You should
no,
not, but some
I mean,
people
I
do.
mean, I mean, you should not, but it's possible. But in Rust, you can't learn Axum or Actix without knowing Rust. You will not just be able to do anything. Like Rust is not those language that allow you to use the framework. It's not totally abstract. The language is not fully abstracted away from the framework. So you cannot learn the framework without learning the language. So once you are learning the framework, you are automatically learning the language as well and everything. So I think for this, I will also want to like ask this question, which I know that you like and you are versed in it. For I think let's take it this way. This question will be best be taken this way. For a mid dev, like when I mean a mid dev, somebody is coming from maybe who already have a programming. Okay, let's start like this. Let's see if it works this way. From somebody a newbie who doesn't have any programming experience at all, what resources recommendation can you do you say, oh, you can check this out, you can check this out, you can check this out? And for a mid dev, somebody who is who already writing in other programming language but not really a senior, what resources or what are the resources you can say, oh, check this out, check this out? And for a senior dev, what are the resources you can say, oh, check this out, check this out, check this out in learning Rust? Because I think there's a couple of resources out there, but then you know you have to know how to put it together to actually make it make sense to you. I know you have a ton of resources too. So I think you will be the right person to like kind of clarify some things here.
Yeah, sure. I really love this question. And I think that the Rust team made an amazing job in putting out some cool free stuff. This is also how I learned. I checked one video on YouTube and then I jumped into the official. Let's say there is an online version of the Rust book. I think if you look like for Rust programming language book, you will find this book is online. Okay. What I did, because I know some people they like to maybe to watch a video instead of checking this book. I don't know how many people know this, but I'm creating a whole YouTube series based on the Rust official book online. So basically, if you've ever seen all these lessons, they are translated into videos. So this is, let's say, something that took me a while. I have more than 50 videos. And so I would say that the good resources, I think, are this online version of the book plus my videos. You can even watch them together. I've used the Rust online book to create these videos. So you'll find these sometimes easier. Sometimes I have some extra examples. Sometimes they're a bit engaging. I ask for something. So they are more interactive than just reading. There are plenty of. I think there are very good books. I think there is one is Rust for Rusticians, and other things. I'm also writing a Rust book, so maybe if you are more a senior developer, average developer, or maybe you want to learn in that way, this might be also a good resource. As usual, you learn a language by writing the code, so that's the thing. So we are here to advocate for stuff, but of course the best thing will be to actually write some Rust code. I've also there is also a website called Rust by Example, and I did something. So in that case, I really did something that took me like a while, like some hundreds of hours of work. So basically, basically you can learn all Rust by just example. So if you don't like much theory, or maybe you already made some theory and you want to get into some practical stuff, this website, Rust by Example, they basically teach you Rust with very little theory and a lot of practical example you can see, you can watch. What I did is that I checked the whole website, and I created a video version, which is 3 hours and a half, and then basically I check all the Rust concepts, all the basics, also some average concept in this single video. So this can also be, if you like, a single video and you like practical stuff, you can check, for example, this. I think if you look for Rust by Example, you will find my videos. I think at the moment, if you type Rust programming on Google, the first video should be mine. This was like some days ago. So
that's you wrong. I think that I've been ranking for a lot of time. That's you. Like your videos have been ranking a lot of time, and that's as shown as a result of the work you have been putting in.
Because I'm very focused on creating videos on this topic. So maybe now YouTube knows this, and so yes. So this is the thing. I think the best way is would be to build some projects. So you can really build different projects. You also mentioned a couple of web frameworks, or you can also create like the standard way will be to create a CLI or something for systems programming. I think that if you're a web developer, you can even start with like you can either use one of these frameworks, Axum, Actix. I think also Rocket is still active, or for example, you can also do what I did is that I created, for example, a backend in Rust without even a framework, just plain Rust code. Maybe it's not production ready, but it works. You can actually create a server, I think, in 100, 200 lines of code with all the CRUD calls. So, yes. By the way, hi everyone. If you're in the chat, you can say hi. You can introduce yourself. I see Johnson from Uganda, Glenn. So, hi everyone. We make this live stream because we want this to be interactive. So let us know if you know Rust, what's your experience, if you have any question, and you're here to answer. Thank you so much, Mart, for inviting me, and really enjoying this conversation with you.
Okay, thank you so much. I think ask all your questions in the chat, and Francesco is here to answer, and then I have some things to chip into. So in learning Rust, I think some of the resources I've actually seen a lot is the Rust book is like, that is always like a great thumb up, because then the Rust Foundation, the Rust community is very, very friendly and opening, and that resources have been very, very well tuned. I think one of the resources I lately see, and then kudos Francesco for those videos, because those videos was like saving a lot of people a ton of stress, because not everybody like going to go and sit down and read. Some people like videos, and the video just summarize whatever is in the Rust book to the video, and then the Rust link. But then I think some of the resources I think I can easily point out is I know 100 Days of Exercise by Men Meta by Lucas Palmora. To me is very, very great, because it's like a structured exercise where you can, what they basically did in the resource was they picked the Rust book, and then they did an exercise version of it where you just go, you practice the code. So for instance, you learn from any resources. You can just go there and make practice about it, and then test to see, and it cover all aspects of Rust. I think that resource is really a great resource. And if you are going into web development too, which is one of the best places I would advise everybody to kind of start from. I don't know, I'm not really biased, but I think that is more effective. 0 days to product, zero to product to prod by Lucas Romero. I mean, kudos to Lucas Romero. Lucas Romero have really been a lot of, I've really done a lot of work in the ecosystem.
I yeah, I met him 2 weeks ago. So we had a chat. He's also Italian. He lives quite close to me. I think he lives less than 100 kilometers from me. So we are quite close considering the whole world. We can say we are quite close, like 100 kilometers.
I mean, you are like my second Italian dev friend, because Marco is like also a friend of mine. We like did some couple of stuff together and everything. And I think I'm having more Italian developers friend lately, but it's good. So I think he's doing a lot of work with Meta and all those things. I think you should check that out. You check that out. And Francesco, I think this will be this was not part. This is one question I want to really ask. What is the projection you are seeing around Rust ecosystem lately when it comes to the usage? You know, there's this concept for the past, let's say 8 years before the last 2 years, because from 2022, Rust have actually really done a lot of revolvement, a lot of you are seeing like a lot of people using Rust for AI, a lot of people using Rust for other things. But aside from that, Rust have really been system programming focused. So what have you really seen, or what are the prospects you are seeing with Rust? Aside from system programming, what else can Rust be used for? What else is Rust really going to fasting grow into lately? Because these are some of the questions that people do, because not everybody wants to do system programming. So what are the things you are seeing?
Yes, I really love. You're really doing a great question. But you can also ask your Web3 core later if you want, if Marta wants. So I will start with some. We could talk here for hours, like how much I love Rust web development, but this is just talking. Let's go with a practical thing that happened. So in the Stack Overflow survey, I think Rust has been voted as the most admired programming language for 10 years in a row, and most of the people, they already know this. What most of the people don't know, I don't know if you know this, that for the first time since the Stack Overflow survey started, a Rust web framework got in the list on the favorite web frameworks. Did you know that? That Axum became one of the 10, I think it was 10, most loved web frameworks. Like, I mean, with Django, Flask, and now we have also Axum. So this, not many people know this. I suggest you check it out.
Like that, not many people really know this. This is like this is something we should really. I kind of.
And this is a sign. And this is a sign. This is a sign that, as you say, I agree with you. Not everyone wants to just write system programming. I might do this because I really like Rust, but I'm more into web development stuff. I do some blockchain also too. One of the reasons why I started coding in Rust is that I think that Rust can also be used for blockchain development, especially for Solana. I created a video, and so I would say that Rust is already becoming more mainstream, and the reason, Mart, is simple. Rust is efficient. So when a language is efficient, everyone wants to use it. C, C++, they are not going away, because even if we say Rust will replace some C++, but there will always be some C and C++ code, because C and C++ are efficient languages. Efficient languages are very hard to die. Assembly and other languages. And I also think that in this AI era, when AI can write a lot of code for you, having an efficient programming language is great, because you can, instead of asking AI, create me a Python backend, you can say, create me a Rust backend. And AI is probably doing a good job in both of the cases. I would never create an application in a language I don't know. That's why I'm here saying, like, you should learn Rust, and then Rust and AI, they work amazing together, because Rust is efficient. Rust gives you the efficiency, and also not just efficient, because you can also write, you can write, I don't know, a web server, maybe even C, or maybe even assembly, maybe it's even a bit faster, 0.1% faster, but that it will be very hard to maintain. So probably, I think at the moment, if you really want a very efficient web server backend, I think Rust is the best choice. If you check, I think, benchmark for web development, I think Rust, I think it has 8 places in the first 10 languages in terms of speed, in terms of performance. But it's not but I really think that probably modifying some Rust code is probably easier than modifying some C code. So because I know some C developers, but they just do C. So they are very focused. I think that if you do Rust, you can also do Rust, JavaScript, Python. That's the great plus. And some people don't see that. Of course, if you do just one language, you can't see anything else. But I'm talking to people who like to do just a few things. And I think that with an efficient programming language, it doesn't make you totally insane. You can have some extra time towards, focused on maybe a front-end framework, check some libraries, have some maybe free time. So this is why I think that Rust really is I think Rust is actually the best compromise in terms of languages. I don't know if you ever played, some FIFA or some soccer game, some football games, and the players, they have different characteristics. And of course, there is a player which is the fastest, but maybe it's not the best because it's just fast. I think Rust, I think I'll put this in a upcoming talk. I think Rust is the best in terms of it has all the stats that are 99, 99, 98, 99 on different things. So this is why I think it's the best language to use, of course. So I will make, this is a part of my upcoming talk, and I like this analogy because, of course, you can say, hey, but no, C uses 1.0 energy, Rust uses 1.03, but they are close enough, of course. And then if you see other things, for example, in terms of usability, it might be a better choice. So that's the thing. Yeah.
Okay. I think Web3 Core is saying, why do most people feel insecure with how much Rust we know?
You know Web3 Core. I think that the only moment, I don't know if it is also you, Mark, the only moment when I don't feel insecure is then when I know nothing. If I know nothing about editing, when I edit my first video, I think, oh, this one is perfect. If you have never exercised in your life, if you do one push-up, you say, oh, this is amazing. Because you don't have the context. So
when it comes to you feeling insecure, I think it's basically I have this ideology that I'm not an island. I will know everything, and I basically the one I know, I will use it to do what I want to do. And when I get to the roadblock of learning more, I learn more, I advance. So I let the what I do determine what I learn, and not what I learn determine what I do. Basically, Francesco, can go on.
And this is a bias. Let's make the analogy with books. Maybe you read 2 books per month, and then you start seeing so many books that you want to read, and you started feeling overwhelmed. But this is just our brain, because our brain tends, to optimize things. So probably you feel insecure because you know how much stuff you don't know. But this is normal. You can also focus. It's fine. I think that people who are like this, they are people who really improve a lot because they will feel that they always know nothing. But and that's okay. But I would say that we can also focus on what we know sometimes. Just to have some good days. Don't all the days have to be bad. So once in a while, I say, hey, but wait. Let's see what did you know, for example, Web3 Core 2 years ago about coding? Probably less. So if you compare yourself to the 1-2 years ago, you will feel better. I know this feeling, it will never go away. I also feel that I don't do enough. I feel that I don't create enough videos because in my head, I would like to make 3 times the videos you see. So you see I published 20 videos. I would like to make 60. So I'll say, I'm not doing enough videos, but then people say, hey, Francesco, amazing. You released 20.
You never satisfied.
Or for example, have you seen, for example, when if you ask, I don't know, Cristiano Ronaldo, like he scored 3 goals, say how was it? They say, nice, but because he knew they could have like done like five goals. He said, I could have done better because he knows. So when you are an expert, you know what's the potential. You know what you can do. You know that you could actually create a whole application in a day, and then you create an application in 2 days. So you feel, oh, I've been slow. That's not slow. It's slow
Yeah.
compared to what you know. That's the thing. But I will say we can focus on just learning the things and building something. And sometimes we have this feeling insecure because programming is a universe. It's not even a word. It's a universe of things. Like even if even us, even I try to specialize. I don't know all the aspects of all the things that uses Rust. I know that some
Yeah.
blockchains they use Rust. I don't know all of them. I know that Rust can be used for system programming. I haven't used it for all of them. I probably also miss a couple of web frameworks who actually use Rust. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, according to from my experience, I think Rust have really skill around aside from system programming, which is Rust is really doing well there. A lot of blockchain, Rust is scaling very much in blockchain, like check the likes of Solana, Polkadot, and co. Rust is really scaling well there. And another aspect where I'm seeing Rust really doing well is also embedded system, because we have this Rust, and also once again we have this Rust embedded workshop going on with Professor Brad. Professor Brad is one of the people in the Rust embedded work group. You can check it out. It's on the YouTube channel and everything. So with this embedded stuff, the Rust embedded team is really doing a lot. And then Rust is really growing in that aspect too. Aside from that, I think Rust is really doing well in web development. I won't lie. I've met a couple of startup CEOs who are using Rust for their backend services, and I get to ask them, why just go for Rust? Why not go for a more like Python, more other language? And they were like, oh, they like Rust and they feel Rust is more secure. And one of the funny things, one of the CEO told me that he feel that in a couple of years, Rust will be more used in the back end than any other language. And I know that is his perspective, but it can be probably true with all the start that Francesco is bringing out. So I believe Rust. And aside from that, this is what really actually brought me to Rust. I did C++, I did Python. I use Python for web, and when I want to do maybe low-level stuff, I try to maybe go back to C. But I was looking for that one language that would give me everything in performance. I mean, C can do web stuff, but it's not scaling. You know, C is... I've never seen people use C to build API, but then web API. But you can do it if you want to really go sit down and do it. It's ethic. And then Python can do maybe low-level stuff, but it's not scaling too. But this Rust, as Francesco have said, Rust is like a cheat, because Rust do everything and do it scalably. Rust with API is good and it's scalable. The ecosystem is strong. Rust with system programming is good and the ecosystem is strong. Rust with blockchain is good and the ecosystem is strong. Lately, I think Rust with AI is good and the ecosystem is becoming stronger. So you see that with Rust, like you are like a superhuman, because you can easily say, oh, no, actually, I don't want to do this, and you still write Rust and still be efficient. Then so let's take this question from Charlie.
And Rust, for example, it's like that doctor that also plays the piano so well, like it does, and also knows how to fight a plane at the same time. So say, okay, maybe there are better like pilots, but that person is also a doctor and is also a musician. Like it's mind blowing, and so that's it. I heard about Rig, but to be honest, I still have to dive deep, because the problem is that I've been traveling for conferences, so I actually have some. I'm sure that this will be an amazing framework. I already checked, but I really want to dive deep before checking and before giving an answer. As usual, I'm very confident that this is an efficient way to do things. Like this thing, I think that this thing that Rust basically gives you performance, but then you can also have some usability as a developer. Because of course you can use C, but people use C for operating systems. So not even for browsers, or for us, browsers usually use C++. So yes, maybe we could use this in binary or assembly, but does it make sense? Probably not, because you also need to, code that always changes. That's the thing. Because if we had a single service that does one thing for 20 years, probably you can do this, in assembly language. That's more efficient. But usually the code is not like that. Usually we change the code every day. We have new PRs, new things that we want to add. We want to add some features. And I think that maintaining a Rust, this is a strong statement. I think that maintaining a Rust code base is easier than maintaining a C code base. This is my take. I don't know how many people agree with this, but the thing is that if you are a C programmer for 20 years, probably say, no, Francesco, C is easy, but you have been coding in C for 25 years. So we should find something that people can use in an easier way, a bit easier. So that's the thing. So I'm sure that this is an amazing framework. I want to actually check it and make a video out of it. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for pointing it
I think
out.
Rig is an amazing framework from Joshua Mosh. Joshua Mosh is also a friend of mine. He's in UK. I think he gave a talk in Ross Manchester yesterday. So it's an amazing framework. I think Joshua Mosh have really been doing a lot. He was DevRel at Shorter before he left to start this great project, and it's really been nice. And it's nice seeing a framework like this that allow you to build agents in Rust, because then that is also showing how the ecosystem is growing. It's growing because it's give you good approach. I think Charlie, it's a nice framework. It's good. It's great. And then the maintainer is also great. Joshua, you can it's Joshua Mosh up on LinkedIn or on X. Is always open to answer any questions you have. So Francesco, coming to this, I think the year is almost coming to an end. You are doing a lot of stuff. I mean, shout out to you on the Rust Bootcamp. You are doing the Rust Bootcamp is amazing, because I want to ask how many people are already registered for that bootcamp. Because
okay, so I want to give a couple of things. The first thing is that yes, I announced a Rust Bootcamp for the 21st of November. This is for beginners, so probably you will get bored at that. But I think one extra. I would prefer 1 extra hour with a refresh of Rust instead of doom scrolling for 1 hour. I think it might be more useful for your career. This is my take. So it might be even get good for you. I'll try to not bore you too much. But the thing is that basically I decided to say, okay, I could do another live event. I do many. But I say, what about making like an appointment, it's like a date, a Rust date with me. So in two months we will make this Rust date 1 hour. So this is on your calendar, and I will try to give as much as possible in 1 hour, 1 hour and a half about the Rust language. So we will have some an intro. We'll have some use cases. We will go into async programming. We will go into the smart pointers. I will try to touch all the things and compressed in 1 hour, which is very challenging. You know how challenging it might be, Martha, because if you are a Rust developer, you know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do a TikTok bootcamp, basically, because it's basically a 1 hour. I should have called it like this, because usually a bootcamp is like 12 hours. Instead, it's like a TikTok bootcamp, so it's very short, but I will try my best to compress all the information. So I want this to be the best 1 hour Rust bootcamp in the world, and I want that at the end you would say, "Wow, now I want to learn more." So that's my goal. So my goal is not I can't teach everything in 1 hour. Even if I'm good, I can't teach everything in 1 hour because you need time to assimilate. But I want 700, 800 people at the end say "Wow, now I want to learn more." That's my goal. There is also sorry.
I think you can go on.
No, I mean, and maybe I don't know if we can announce that we have also some good news. I don't know if you can announce it today or maybe a wait later. Because you were there, we have some big news for you.
We are going to announce it. I think I want to take some last question and make it keep the best for the last kind of stuff. So we are going to announce the bigger news very soon. But then I think I'll put the link for the bootcamp. Everybody check out the bootcamp. Join the bootcamp, because I mean, Francesco have really done a lot of he has done a lot of work in the Rust ecosystem, I mean, and then he has a lot to actually offer. And also, there's one thing I also like about Ross is, aside from the language being amazing, I mean, Ross doesn't only have amazing language. They also have a very, very supportive and amazing community. The Ross community is like, I don't know how to explain. They're always here to help. The the Ross community, even somebody who has been writing Ross for the past 20 years is ready to give a newbie who's just starting and lives from start to the end. Like, I mean, I've had this a couple of times, like from people, a lot of people in the community who have, when I started learning, who were like supportive to me, and they were always telling me, oh, keep on pushing the work, and we are seeing what you are doing. You are doing like, so it's very, very supportive community, and it's a community that you will want to have too. And then they can also help you, like they help you debug code, so you can always go take your issues to the community, and the community will just help you solve it with a lot of experience and so on. So check out the bootcamp and have a fun experience. Always come back to come and learn. So Francesco, I want to go with this last question before we go announcing the big news. The year is already coming to, like, about coming to an end, and then what are your projections? I mean, I will start first and then I would like to run it up. What are your projections for Ross in 2026? I mean, we already seen a lot of stuff. Like Ross is already moving very, very fast away from people from the Ross is a system programming language to this. Lately, we've seen a lot of stuff. I mean, I stay in Africa, and in Africa, especially in Nigeria, there's a lot of group use case of Ross in blockchain. I mean, I will not take that away from blockchain community. There have been a lot of use case of Ross, a lot of opportunities given to young people to try new things, to earn from it. Like, I mean, from less of Solana, from what Toby Loba is doing, from lack of Polkadot, from less of Arbitrum, from a lot of, I mean, shout out to this community that have been doing a lot. And I've also seen some new trend around Ross with AI. I mean, XAI already projecting Ross to be the best thing after sliced bread. And also, we've seen a lot of stuff happening around the embedded ecosystem, ARMS board, accepting Ross fully, and all those things, and a lot of things happen around the safety critical region of Ross, because then a lot of Peter, shout out to Peter, who is putting a lot of work to make sure Ross has this standardization for a lot of safety critical stuff and all those things. But what are your projections for Ross? What do you see? What is the wave? How do you see Ross in 2026? Like, because there are some developers who want to learn a language because they see potential for it. So 2026, how do you see Ross to be? How do you see us growing? Because we had this conversation. I think I had you on a space in Ross, Nigeria, ending 2024. And then we had this conversation of where Ross is going to go in 2025. I think everything we said in that conversation is kind of almost happening. And then let's make another projection. What is your projection for 2026?
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, by the way, I love your energy. I love your style. So when I want to decide what to learn, I don't trust much social media. I know that I spend a lot of time on social media, but I don't trust anyone. So I don't trust the tech influencer. I prefer to move my body and go around the world. Why? Because when you go in person events, you have a real feeling of what is right and what is wrong. If something is a Twitter bubble, if something is a LinkedIn bubble. I went to RustConf in Seattle for you. So I can check with my eyes what the Rust ecosystem looks like. So I'm here to say that Rust is not gonna slow in any ways. There is no sign of this language to be signed up. I kind of see the opposite, which is quite funny. I interviewed the creators of Rust. I interviewed the creators of the Borrow Checker, for example. This video will be out soon. They think that Rust is already too mainstream because they created the language. So for them, it's like, now Rust is like everyone is using that for them. So this is a sign that it's going into the mainstream area in a great way. I remember, I don't know, some people maybe here are younger, but in 2010, Python was not that used. It was similar to what is Rust now. Like, some people use it, some people don't, and then it exploded. and now everyone wants to use Python. So I think that Rust will do something in a similar way. So at some point, we will even stop advocating for this, because I don't know. You usually don't say like, learn JavaScript. Like, it's obvious that you should check it out because you want to do some front end. So at some point we might even stop this to advocate. The thing is that we live in a very competitive world, Mart. I think we think we can all feel this. So even starting learning something 6 months earlier than someone else can really make you stand out, because then you will have some experience. So I am 100% sure that you can boost your career if you learn some Rust now. Now it's the 1st of October. The 2025 is close to an end, so you need to decide what can I do these 3 months. Probably learning Rust is a good idea, because then we will see in 2026, we will make another episode, and we will see Francesco was right, because the difference, Mart, is that I go with my body. I move my feet and my body, and I know to conferences, and I know the reality. So I stay a bit too much time on Twitter, but I also travel, and I think I can give some good directions, because I could hear say like learn everything, but that means nothing. I don't know. Do music. Learn everything about music. That's not a tip. That's do some sports. That's a very generic tip. I'm here to give tips to people who want to boost their career. That's my very strong point of view. I also, for example, I met, for example, the Oracle team at RustConf. They are hiring Rust developers, so we are going into also that part. I might actually see if some companies can even sponsor this first bootcamp. For sure, some companies will sponsor the second one, because I'm sure there will be some. Thank you for reminding me this, that I want to check. And yes, so we will see this, and there is literally no sign of Rust slowing down. So all the signs are green. If Rust was like a bit a coin. Everything shows that it's growing. And I think the most important thing is that Rust people who actually write Rust code, they don't go out. So if the Rust developers it was like a bucket, many developers are getting in and very few developers are going out. So this bucket is going to fill soon, because if there is a bucket but is a leaked bucket, people try and then go out, people try and go out, then we'll have a shrinking ecosystem. I mean, how many people do you know that actually they started using Rust and they stopped because they didn't like it? I don't know a single person.
This is a point.
Maybe Prime is the only person.
I mean, this is the point I was trying to project, because whenever I meet anybody who have tried Rust, the person tend not to want to go out. The person just try to look for a way to. I mean, I don't go out, like I don't go to meet people and on like free time the way you go to meet people in person. But one thing I do is one thing I've done a lot in the Rust ecosystem is I've speaking to a lot of Rust creator, Rust users, a lot of people who are using Rust. Like some of them I don't like not publish publicly, but private core, and like I think I still have some calls with some people. So what I do is that when I see you using Rust or you created something in Rust, I try to book an appointment with you and jump on a call with you. Why? I want to understand how the ecosystem is shaped, what is really going on, aside from what I feel is going on from my comfort zone. And I could really say a lot of good things is going on under the hood with Rust, and Rust is really doing a lot of great things. Rust is really being used in an amazing place where I never thought that Rust is going to be used. Like, see, the Git team is even trying to, And one thing I noticed about Rust developer is once they learn Rust, they go back to their company and try to compel their company to use Rust. And once they start using Rust in their company, before you know, they want to write almost everything in Rust and they want to go. So Rust is going to really get better next year. I mean, I can tell you that for free. It's really going to get better next year. So if you're not learning Rust, I think you should start learning it, have it part of your stack, it's going to be like maybe some job description from coming next year is going to be JavaScript and maybe good to have Rust. Now good to have maybe some other skill and other thing.
I think we already have this. You mean we'll have more? Yeah, I mean, we will have many. We
Yeah,
will
yeah,
have
we have.
more, but we are like it becomes a common thing. You mean because these are it's
Yeah.
already like this, but yes. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
So then so we I think we'll really have more of that. That will really go on because I personally have like jumped on a call with like I see startup of not up to 6 months using Rust and they are building great and like they are hiring a lot of good developers and they are seeing them and that is I think that is one of the thing I like one of my focus with the Rust ecosystem is because I had a call with back 2024. I had a call with a CEO in a company who was doing stuff, and I felt Rust could have been the best for what they are doing because it was basically around streaming. They were trying to be a kind of streaming platform, and it's more like latency and everything is needed in those. And I kind of pitched to the CEO, oh, why not try using Rust? And it was what was going to is what the answer he gave me was boost me up to really take Rust outside me, only me learning it to taking it to teaching people and going to like start advocating for Rust a lot was he knows that Rust will be best. He wants to use Rust, but they earn is a startup. They earn a lot of Rust developer there, young developers. So the most Rust developer you see are people coming from C++, people coming from other background who already senior developers learning Rust and they want to work for big all these big tech, Google and the likes also hiring Rust. So it's basically like a big competition between them and startup don't have a lot of money to actually throw around developers. So they tend to capitalize on maybe young talents trying to use young talent to build the company to a certain extent. And when he told me that I kind of did a statistic. I think the Roscom, that was also like a visible statistics in the Roscom when the Jack and Nico had to present. Like you see, if you go back to the statistics, you see that there's less junior developers in Rust than more of senior developers. Like they have more senior developers and less junior developers. So it simply means for the past years, people have been moving from their stack to Rust rather than learning Rust like from junior perspective. And then I said, what do I need to do? So I felt I need to start looking for a way to upbring the young ones. I need to look for a way to start putting it to the idea of the young ones. Rust is not hard, you can learn it. And I think with that, we're able to achieve a lot. That was the basic of where Rust Africa was formed from. That was the core when the foundation had to see some of the things I did. I reached out to the foundation, they reached out to me and they were like, oh, guy, you're really doing a lot of good job. I think you should be a fellow in the foundation and then do a lot of this and every other thing. And then I had to partner with EduRust, owned by Professor Brad and the ENC and the team at MenMeta. And then we did some good thing. And so, Francesco, this is leading to the bigger announcement. So, aside from this, Ross, so far during the year, Ross have evolved. There have been a lot of campus store happening around Ross. I mean, shout out to myself, shout out to Scott, shout out to NS, who has been like one of the great pillars of when we started campus store. And then Ross campus store is basically an experience whereby we take Ross in campus, we go to campus, we preach Ross to them. Aside from preaching Ross to them around, and this has been happening around Africa, but then I feel it's something that the foundation want to take up to other places in the world by 2026. But around Africa, we have done it. We have visited over 7 to 8 countries, and then we visit over over like 20 campuses. And then by October, we'll be going for another campus tour where we visit campus. And what is the essence? We go to the campus, we tell students about us. We also not tell them only about us. We provide resources where they can learn Rust. And it's best to learn in communities. And also we help them set up maybe a mini Rust community in the campus where if you have an issue, you can always reach out to your community and people who are more experienced than you can teach you. And then the main aim is, as a result, to solve the issue I discovered in 2014, which is less young people learning Rust. So the more young people who are learning Rust from campus, the more company who want to use this stuff because they feel they have a ample of developers who are going to be learning Rust. So our next campus tour is coming up by November at Cameroon. So we're in Rust campus tour, we're visiting Cameroon, and then we'll be having Francesco for a 4 to 5 hours live stream teaching Rust from the beginning of Rust, intermediate Rust to advanced Rust. So you can like join in and then learn everything you need to know about Rust. I know Francesco is always there to answer your question. And then before I go this thing, you can also put in some of your questions you want to ask on the chat, so that we can answer it, because we are about to run off, because I want to leave the mic to Francesco so that he can tell us can break some tips on how the boot camp in the campus store is going to be, and give us some
Yes,
talk.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. There will be 6 hours of Rust without interruptions. So get ready. We will not even drink water. So we'll have 6 hours. And I'm joking, of course. We'll have some more pauses, just few pauses. We will have. So we still need some assets. So this is an exclusive. So if you're watching this. You are getting this news for first, so that's why you should like and subscribe to this channel, because so you'll get the latest news, because Mart is really doing an amazing job. So you are getting this. If you're watching this, you are the first in the world, aside me, Ernest, and Mart, who knows this. So I didn't even announce it on my social media yet. So this is big. This shows, for example, how we are really on the edge. And for the event in Cameroon, that will be a longer one compared to my compressed TikTok Rust bootcamp, because that's just 1 hour. Here we have more time. Here we have 4, 5, maybe 6 hours. I don't know exactly how much. We'll have 3 modules: beginner, medium, and advanced. So feel free to attend one of them, all 3 of them. If you're an expert, you can even start with the second one. And the goal is to get our hands dirty and to end up this bootcamp with some real code that you wrote. So that's not a Netflix series. It's a bootcamp. So I really want you to code with me. We'll find the problems together. We'll also push this. You can also push this project on your GitHub repo with your modifications. And this might also help to showcase that you wrote some Rust code. So this is a very practical one. I like practical things. I like to understand things. But I don't want to just talk for hours and you just nod or shake your head. I want you to get some code. So by the end of the bootcamp, you will have solid understanding on the fundamentals of Rust, get some new things that maybe you missed if you're not into the Rust ecosystem, about web development, how you can use this in different ways. My goal will be, but I'm still working on it, it might be that I will build a whole full stack application written in Rust, including the front end. Including the front end. I'm not joking, Mart. Front end in Rust. Yes, it can be done. It's crazy. So backend in Rust, front end in Rust. Also some other examples. So what are you waiting for? I don't know. I don't know what people are waiting for. So maybe it's because they don't know. That's the only reason why I can excuse you for not coming to Rust Cameroon. Maybe you don't know. So in that case, you are excused. Now you know, so you don't have excuses anymore.
So I mean, Francesco has given us like the biggest tips, which is it's going to be live streamed too. It's going to be on site, so you can make it to Cameroon on site. I put in the flyer. You can check out Rust Africa it's X handle to see. You will get more detail about that. And then very soon we're making some big announcement on it. So as Francesco has said, this is an exclusive. So if you are here, you are getting an exclusive information about this. And then you are going to learn Rust. Aside from learning Rust, you are going to also build something with Rust that you can present that, oh, I attended this Rust bootcamp, and then I was able to build this. And then a lot of things is possible in Rust, man. And Francesco saying this make me realize that there is a lot of framework in Rust, like libtools, who is like the Rust Next.js kind of stuff. You can build a lot of full stack applications. There's Lux. There's Ture for building desktop app and all those things. So, and big shout out to Ben. Ben has really been a good supporter of also the Rust Nigerian channel, because he is one of the maintainers of libtools. And I mean, I think I should bring Ben to one of these talk one of these days, so we have like a talk. So I think that is really great and everything. So Francesco, I think we already spent over 1 hour, and then we don't want to bore people. We are already giving them a whole lot. So want to give you, what are your final words to everybody who is learning Rust, who plan to learn Rust, who want to learn Rust, and the whole Africa ecosystem? And once again, I'm a Nigerian, and happy independence in Nigeria today. So Francesco, let's have your final words, and then we can call it a wrap. Except we have some question coming in from the comment section. This is the time. Post your question and let's try to answer it.
Yes. So yeah, so before I give some final words, this is the last call, last call to drop something and ask me something, or just regret it forever. So this is your last opportunity. Yes, I will do these boot camps, and I will showcase like the real fundamentals. As you probably know, Rust might be not the easier programming language to learn. That's why Francesco is here to help you. So this, for many people saw this as a blocker. I saw this as an opportunity. So when I don't know you, Mart, but when I read like Rust is hard to learn, I thought, amazing. I can be the creator who can actually create more content and make it easier for everyone. So that's amazing for me that Rust might be a bit more complicated. So now you can learn from me, or you can create some Rust content too. So that's the thing. I think this laser focused like events, I don't know, yeah, it might sound a lot, but like 4 or 5 hours, sometimes we just sit doing nothing for 5 hours. In 4 or 5 hours you can have a whole idea of what Rust is, what is not, how you can use it. You will end up with some code, and you can also say that you attended this Rust Cameroon conference. In your next interview, some people might ask, do you have some knowledge of Rust? And you can say, yes, I attended the Rust Cameroon, I have this real project on my GitHub. What is the difference between this and this? Yes, I checked a couple of videos. It's a whole different approach with a recruiter. And I make videos on YouTube, so I'm not saying that you should not do this, but having like something concrete at the end of a bootcamp, it's 100 times better than just binge watching a Rust video on YouTube, but not having that project. So we will do exactly this. We will do a project that you can have on your GitHub repository, so the next time you will have interview that has some Rust-related questions, say, yes, I've done a project, real front-end and back-end. So I don't know. If I didn't convince you, I don't know what to do. I got like 5 more signups for the Rust Bootcamp just now. So thank you, Marta. We got 5 more people. Wow. Thank you for promoting it. And you know what, Marta? Also, I'm doing all of this for now for free. The Rust Cameroon, I'm going for free. So I don't know how to convince you. Probably we should charge. Do you want to get charged so you get convinced to come? I mean, if you want, you can donate to Rust Cameroon, but probably I will never do a 6-hour Rust bootcamp for free. This will probably be the only time. It's a once in a lifetime thing. I will do a 1 hour for free, for 21st of November, but this is really your opportunity at the end of 2025 to actually do have a whole Rust experience, and check your Rust knowledge in 2025. Because if Rust was on your bingo card in 2025, November is probably your last opportunity. Because in December we'll do a Christmas, we'll do something else, we will be busy. I don't think that you will end up on the 31st of December starting learning Rust because you said, okay, maybe I did it in 2025. So November is basically your last opportunity. Let's be honest, Marta. The half of November. You also have 2 bootcamps. One in Rust Cameroon and one is mine. So you don't have excuses. You also have two dates. I don't know what else to say, Marta. I'm out of word. And I think that, again, I would always differentiate. If you want to have fun, joke about Rust versus Go, Rust versus Zig, Rust versus Python, it's fine. That's fine. That's fine to have some laugh and jokes. But I think that on the other side, we live in an area, in a moment where AI is taking over and writing a lot of code. So we need to understand things. We need to understand the things. The problem is that if we don't get a deep knowledge, we might fall behind. So I think everyone agrees on this, that having an efficient programming language is good, because then you can ask AI to generate it. And then, of course, you need to make some changes. And that's why I'm doing the bootcamp, to make these actual changes to this. I need to check the rig framework, so Rust and LLM, but I'm sure that that's an efficient one. So thanks for having me. This has been a great, inspiring moment also for me. I will still do Star Rust in 2026, so there is no way, no signs of slowing down. I should release my Rust book in 2025. the speed
yo,
one, of
yo, yo,
course.
yo.
Of course, there is there is an editor there, so we can't you can't have it. But I
So
like that we have more resources. Yeah.
okay, first of all, you have heard it. Francesco is giving you an exclusive. This is 7 hours with Francesco. Learn and ask all your question about Ross,
No pauses.
and then
No pauses.
you have all you have your check, like your Ross list is checked out. I mean, you rarely see this, and this can only happen in the Ross community because it's only in the Ross community that all resources are almost totally free. I mean, I could remember there was a time I reached out to a local, like, oh, we are having this this talk, and we needed the Ross zero to Ross to production book, and local was just like, oh, it's for the Ross community. He know do over the book to me. I know he spent time writing it just for free. So I mean, the Ross community people are doing a lot, and it's the early days. So grab it now and take full access to this. And for the book review, for the book, Francesco, I've been working on this book since 2014. I've been hearing him talking about this book a long time, and I've been eagerly waiting for him to drop this book so that I will check it out. I know it's going to like be like a very, very brief, you know. Imagine Ross being written by somebody who writes Ross and who also teach Ross. That is like having a blend from somebody who have like experience with what people are facing and communicating it to other people to be able to write, which is going to be great. I mean, we have a lot of good resources, and adding that resources is great. And also know that because I personally reviewed, I think this is also an exclusive with I think there's a university in UK, if I'm not mistaken. I think I've forgotten their name. They are working on beginner friendly book for us, and they also read their review. I was one of the people that did one of the review, and they are doing great. Those also be publishing by 2026. So I think there's a lot of resources coming out, and you will stay glued. But first, get into the boot camp, have an idea of Ross, learn Ross, come to Ross Cameroon and feel the vibe with us. And then one advice I always give to everybody who is watching is take a step in the Ross ecosystem. Take a step. Like if you are learning something, try to talk about it. I mean, Francesco have this community on X where people talk about Ross. They post code snippet. You learn some things about it, and then take a big step. Join communities. Share your knowledge with others, and try to also expand around you, because for us to have a better, efficient Ross ecosystem, we are the Ross stations, and we are the people who are going to expand the ecosystem. I mean, for now, I will stay tuned, and I will keep on giving you guys more resources. And then later today, before I forget, we are having Professor Brad coming back to give us an embedded workshop. We have been doing this for over 4 weeks now. I think today is going to be the last day of the 4 weeks of the embedded workshop. We are having Professor Brad coming to come and give us an embedded workshop. So you can see tuning back to come for the embedded workshop, and then learn from Professor Brad too. I mean, we are putting out great content for you guys because we want everybody to learn Rust in different aspects. That's why we are not telling you to anything. We are doing it in web development, embedded, system programming, and all forms. So thank you, Francesco, for agreeing to turn in, and thank you everyone for tuning in. For now, I will say bye-bye to you guys.
Bye.
Bye.